Hey everyone, this is Tell True Sports Radio. I'm your host Ron Fitch, and I was ready to do a national title preview. UConn and Purdue, two number one seeds, the top teams in the country, been eyeing each other all year, getting ready for that matchup. But I got to start with my guy Sean Calipari, man, going to Arkansas, and usually he's kind of always elevated. UMass, Memphis, Kentucky. So you see how he's trending up, but he dropped down a little bit because Arkansas is not Kentucky's the top blue blood, but uh, he got paid a lot of money. Kentucky did not have to use their $33 million buyout, and he knew the AD Arkansas. He was cool with him, so that's the information I got so far. But uh, it felt like this loss to Oakland was the last straw of the fans. I don't know if him and his wife were like, we gotta get out of here because of the when you're not winning in Kentucky, they're gonna get after you. They're like, how come you can't win? I mean, Joby Hall went through it when after he won in '78, and then he just didn't win. Went to the Final Four, got beat up by Georgetown, didn't really win nothing. Had a scandal, and they just sent him on his way. Then he had a couple of coaches, but yeah, Tubby Smith, who was the best character coach out there, won a national championship, couldn't win anymore, and they're like, please, okay, go ahead, Tubby, and Tubby had to go. And this is a merciless fan base. It's almost like Alabama, but Alabama has a bunch of national championships, so they're rabid, but they have been satisfied with titles. Kentucky hasn't because he only has one, and they haven't been out of the first round since 2019. And this Oakland loss was bad um, because of how clever the adjustments that NC State made the following game they played Oakland, how they shut their top scorer down, and how they played so much smarter than Kentucky. The problem was the one and dones. It's hard now. It's hard to have an all freshman team. Kids are staying because of NIL. You got more senior laden teams. You got smart freshmen like Castle going to teams like Connecticut, that's already it's got established veterans, so he could ease his way in. That's kind of the way to go. Carolina always has seniors. Carolina always gets these four borderline 5-star guys and keep them for 4 years, 3 years, and they just develop and love staying there. And Purdue had the group that lost to St. Peter's, lost to FDU, and then finally broke through because they all stayed together. They all played together. And Cal doesn't do that. He better do that in Arkansas. He better forget the one and dones. I don't know if you're going to get Kentucky's recruits at Arkansas. He'll get some because he's Cal and his group that recruits. They're going NIL money will be upped from the Arkansas alumni, so they'll get some dudes that Arkansas haven't gotten in years since the '90s with Mayberry and the big nasty Williamson and them dudes. So they're going to have a chance. But I don't know what Kentucky's going to do. I know Nate Oates, um, Bruce Pearl. It's just crazy that you want to leave your school to go to your rival school. But I mean, I guess Cal's like, listen, I'll just go here. Now the problem is, you play Arkansas in November, December, and you go to Kentucky. He's gonna need police protection. The booze, the love they had for him, and they were a little irritated they lost. But go to Arkansas. You love my blue blooded Kentucky for our pig suey. Oh, they're gonna roust him. They're gonna let him have it when he goes back there. But that's gonna be very interesting. I want to see what he has to say. I got to stay on this story, so I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna add another show, but for now, that's all I have. Um, Cal's my guy, man. I've been with him a few times. He was always gracious enough to interview me, talk with me. Um, but he did a bad job, and boy, my friends let me have it whenever he has a bad game. And he's leaving for Arkansas. They just unloaded. I got text messages, and I'm like, oh, brother. And I wish the best, but this is whew, leaving to go to USC or UCLA. Okay. Arkansas is a good job. Leaving to go to Arkansas where you have to play Kentucky twice a year? Unless you're just like, okay, maybe something happened in the meeting. It's just like, you know what? All right, I'll leave. You think I can't coach anymore, and you don't like the way I'm doing things with these freshmen? I'll reinvent myself in Arkansas and beat you twice a year. So now Arkansas, Kentucky's must see TV. All right, UConn and Alabama. This is supposed to be. This could be a big mismatch. Will it be? Will it be close? Wouldn't surprise me if it got close. Connecticut hadn't played a close game, and Alabama's got the scores. Alabama hadn't played great defense all year long. They're playing good defense on the tournament, and they better play some defense in this game. Alabama's 11-point underdog, understandable. Because Purdue, if Connecticut's on it, they could cover that. Now, this is the key for Alabama. I'm coming off the bus playing a zone. Forget man to man, because UConn's the best and most efficient half court and intricate half court offense out there. And what they do so well is the back screens, and you'll see it's the art of illusion, because you're playing on one side, but the key to the play is the backside, where there's backdoor cut, where there's a terrific ball reversal that sets up an outside shooter for a wide open shot, especially in the half court. Or one of their favorite moves is just get Clingan the rock inside. When he catches the post, he goes to his right hand, throws it off the glass, scores. But what they do, which is really good, is the pick and roll to the basket for a dunk, which is really good. Him, and especially Samson Johnson, a backup power forward. What Connecticut does, and this is smart, is Klingland will set up. It's almost like a dummy play. He sets up for the post. You rotate over. The guard is ready to throw the ball in the post. He doesn't throw the ball in the post. He moves the ball to the center of the court. And as he does that, Klingland pivots and gets leverage inside. He's got inside leverage. So now when you throw the ball ahead underneath the basket, Klingland can catch it and dunk it. And they're very good at post-rotation pivots, which is where the big man, where Klingland can pivot and spin toward the opposite side and set up for an easy shot. Or there's a back screen where he catches it, a low back screen where he can get his defender gets screened off, he catches the ball and scores. And there's so many variations to the plays that Hurley runs. He's a genius in this half-court offense. What I'm doing, I'm playing a zone, because the one thing Connecticut hasn't done is they haven't started out well. They haven't shot it like they could shoot it. And I'm daring Connecticut to shoot. If Connecticut's hitting from the outside, you're going to get blown out anyway. And the key is to have a lead at halftime and put a little pressure on Connecticut. And what I think Connecticut's going to do, they're going to get Cleveland the ball. If Alabama does play zone, they're going to get Sears and they're going to get Newton, and they're going to try to bust through the zone with Spencer, who could really shoot, and Castle. Castle's the wild card. Castle's so multi-talented, could drive and score. And Newton's can't get Newton in foul trouble because he's such a smart defender, a smart playmaker. What I think Hurley's going to do, he's going to take the airspace from their three-point shooters away, which could allow Sears to drive and dish to Grant Nelson, who likes to cut to the basket for dunks. Grant Nelson's going to have to bring Cleveland out if they so choose to put him on Nelson and drive around him and be that. See, I know Sears can get me buckets because he's crafty. He's going to be good from the outside. He knows how to figure out how to set his defender up. He's very good at the point guard of driving and dishing and fighting Griffin and Estrada and Stevenson, who could shoot. All three of those guys could shoot. But I think what Hurley's going to do is play hard, tight man-to-man, hard rotations. There, under no circumstance are we leaving these guys open. And we got to rotate in Cleveland. You're going to have to be a great rotating shot blocker. You're not going to be able to just sit in the lane. You're going to have to be like he did the last time. It just he's very good at moving his feet, rotating over, and getting shot blocks. He takes up a lot of space. It's very good on Cleveland's part, especially for a young guy still developing his game. It's going to be interesting when Nelson and Cleveland meet to the rim because Nelson got ups. Nelson's going to get up there and Kenny dunking on Cleveland to send a message and one and send a message that, yeah, we're coming after you. Or does Cleveland just keep blocking shots? And that'll be problematic. But I'm going zone. And if UConn's cold and it's a 10-point Alabama lead, that's pressure on UConn. But I will tell you something. Even if UConn's down 10, they're not front runners. So if they're down 10, they're so hard nosed and battle tested that we're like, okay, we'll come back. If it's a 1-point win we gotta have, we'll do that and we'll execute at the end. I don't think they're going to. Most teams that are that big of a favorite, they get behind in their college kids and they start to press. I think Connecticut just keeps running their sets because they're so disciplined offensively and defensively, and they always have a big crowd, and they're going to look for that run, that 10-0, 20-0 run in the second half. That's going to do what they have to do. If the game's got to be close, and you got to win, they got to win a 1-point game and they got to execute with 14 seconds left and hit a game-winning shot, so be it. As long as they get to the finals, they're a different breed. So Alabama's got to play a full game cleanly and with no let-ups. Even if they get a 10-point lead, hold on to that as long as you can. But I just think UConn's going to win because of how disciplined they are and how much heart they got. It's just not just a team that just blows you out. They're disciplined with heart. And I got Purdue, UConn. My heart is telling me NC State and UConn. My head is telling me Purdue and UConn. South Carolina wins the women's national championship. They were bigger and they were deeper. They could survive Caitlin Clark's 30 points. They didn't want her to get 50. Well, they could handle 30 and Martin 16 because Iowa's bench is not as strong as Carolina's bench because when you get Tessa Johnson with 19 points coming off the bench, and Fulwiley with 9 points, and Fagan with 6 off the bench, you're in good shape. Cardozo was great with 15 points and 17 rebounds. And I can tell you about what really the turnaround was the second quarter on where they took the lead and they kept Iowa. Every time Iowa would make a comeback, South Carolina would hit them with another run to stay within arm's length. But the biggest stat I can tell you right now, rebounds, 49-25, 17 offensive rebounds and second chance by Carolina. And Dawn Staley is going to get her third national championship. And she has been the coach of the year. She wants to go where Gino Auriemma and Pat Summitt are headed. So I congratulate her on that. And I want to give her some credit. I don't always like some of the politics she spits out, but as far as a player, and I loved her as a player. I remember I watched her as a player. I saw her in the Martin TV show. She was good on that. She's infectious as far as the crowd and can dance. Does a lot of good things. She's a great coach. So she's headed toward Pat Summitt and Gino Auriemma territory. South Carolina is on a roll as a program. And what she did after the game, I have so much credit for her. Give her so much credit. The fact that she said, I want to say what Caitlin Clark did and how she made it eyeballs to the television where most people weren't really watching, include myself, watching a lot of women's basketball. What she did for the sport was great. She took time out as she was celebrating with her team. She went the classy route. They didn't rub it in and do nothing stupid during the game when they knew they had the game won. They celebrated. And the more you see of that, and the more you see great play, that'll sustain women's basketball. Unless it's something really, really, really that you can't avoid, that you have to talk about, I would avoid the politics if I was women's basketball. Leave that alone. Don't be so abrasive. And I would go that route. I was figure out, if I'm an LSU coach, figure out how to get in your routine for the national anthem so you don't have to deal with those questions. And just that's your momentum, is your talent. Juju Watkins, if she stays, you got a stud that you could ride on TV. You got UConn will be better. So you could kind of, South Carolina will be good. LSU will probably be good because Kim Mulkey always is good. So you got a chance to kind of ride this momentum or self-destruct and set fire to your own sport. So the choice is yours, but you have momentum now. Keep it. Keep it. Forget the off the court stuff. Just play basketball.